Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Red Devil Experience. How you all doing? Hope everybody is doing well. Manchester United and Ipswich played today. Ipswich 0. Ipswich 1, Manchester United 1. Sorry, I butchered that. But this whole thing has thrown me off. YouTube wasn't working. But yes, Ipswich 1, Manchester United 1 on Ruben Amorim's debut, what has been sort of a letdown on the debut. There was a lot of excitement. There was a lot of build up to this. And even the start of the match, first 2 minutes in, we did really well. We got the ball, ran down the right side of the wing. Amad Diallo, fantastic dribble, puts a good ball into the box. Marcus Rashford, tap in. And you get a goal 80 seconds into the match, and you start thinking to yourself, here we go, Ruben Amorim era has started. And you're thinking we're going to see something very, very good today, something very different to what we've been seeing, to what we've been used to. And it turned out to be same old story, like it has been. So it's certainly disappointing. Certainly a letdown. We're gonna get into the match. We're gonna delve into it. We're gonna identify the problems, because obviously Ruben Amorim has a lot of problems that he's going to have to address, that he's going to have to make changes to, and he's going to have to correct if he is going to be successful and his things are going to work here at Manchester United. And certainly reality has set in today. I think for a lot of the fan base. For me, I'm still very excited by Ruben Amorim. I have confidence in Ruben Amorim. I've listened to everything that he's spoke of and said in his so far press conferences and kind of him talking and stuff, and I think he said a lot of good things. I think he's aware of the situation. I think he's more aware than certain managers have been coming into the Manchester United job. I think he's been watching Manchester United before he was even tapped up to get the Manchester United job. So I think that's a good place. But there's certainly a lot of work that needs to be done. He certainly has a mountain to climb. And it's going to take some time. And I was always aware of this. It was definitely my concern from the very beginning that this is the reality of what it is. He is not going to come to Manchester United. He is not going to wave a magic wand and all of a sudden the players are going to be absolutely fantastic and Manchester United are going to go on a run of 15 games unbeaten and we're going to beat everybody left and right and we're going to start performing like an absolute machine. That was never the reality. That was never going to be the case. There's always a possibility, and if it happened, it would have been fantastic. But the reality of the situation was that was never going to actually happen. The mountain that he has to climb is a very, very big mountain. And he's taken about 10 steps up this mountain so far. He's got a long way left to go. There's going to be some challenges along the way. There's going to be some danger along the way. This is going to be a work in progress. So, let's break down the match a little bit more. We're going to do live player ratings. If you can, please smash the like button for me because it's very important. It helps the channel grow. It helps YouTube push the channel and the video out there so we get more viewers and stuff. So if you want to support us, the greatest thing you can do is hit the like button. It does matter a lot. We don't just say hit the like button just to say hit the like button. It actually does help us out. And if you enjoy the content and you enjoy the discussion that goes on in the stream, in our live chat with our community, then subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're always live with us when we go live and you never miss one. But back to the match. I really don't know what to make of it in terms of an individual player by player performance, because we didn't do much. We didn't do anything. It was a very boring match. Ipswich had much more of the better chances, much more of the dangerous chances. And I don't know what to make on it as an individual player by player for every player. I think Marcus Rashford was a huge disappointment. He was super frustrating to me. I was saying for him to be taken off by the time we got at halftime, because he offered absolutely nothing. He was doing nothing. And yeah, I don't know really what to make of that. I don't see enough from him. He doesn't run. He doesn't make himself available. He doesn't get involved enough. But I could say kind of the similar thing for a lot of the players like that. I think one of our biggest problems was that midfield, Casemiro and Christian Eriksen. That combined age in that midfield is literally the age of Joe Biden, and they were almost playing like Joe Biden, kind of just totally lost and kind of clueless in that midfield, and didn't know, what they were doing. They were getting absolutely run through. So, there was that issue. The defense also had their own issues. I mean, I think, Delo was off it. Delo was making poor choices. Delo was super frustrating for me today. I think Johnny Evans was a bit of a problem as well at times. So there was certainly the reoccurring theme of the discombobulation that we've seen at Manchester United. But these things are going to take time, and the only thing that I can really compare this to, and I see some of our members have joined us now. Richard is here. How you doing, Richard? And then Ray's in here as well. The only thing that I could really compare this to in the situational sense is that, listen, when Jurgen Klopp came in and when Pep Guardiola came in to Manchester City and Liverpool, and even Mikel Arteta at Arsenal, they came with their ideas, with their philosophies. They implemented it from day one. And it didn't click right away. It took a while to click, and they suffered. They suffered in the immediate. And I think the same thing is going to have to happen with Ruben Amorim and this Manchester United squad. Because that's the only way you actually win over the long term. We're going to have to suffer. I think today we suffered. I think watching that match, it was very boring. It was not exciting to watch. And I think we suffered. We dropped 2 points against against Ipswich. It's a team that we should be going on to beat. We needed 3 points. We got 1 point out of it. It did not help us in the table, per se. And these things are going to happen because, listen, he didn't get enough time to really manage them, coach them in the training. There was about 11 players on Monday. The rest followed up after Monday, so it wasn't really a long time. And you're in the midst of a season. We got a game on Thursday. Are we going to see a huge difference? Maybe because we're playing a team called Bold Glimt, or whatever their name is. And they ain't no Premier League side, and they're not Premier League quality. So maybe you see a bit of a difference. And maybe it helps us a little bit in confidence, but we've seen sort of the same old story. And I expect sort of that thing to come out of it for the next few matches, the next upcoming weeks, because it's going to take time for these players to understand what they need to do. And let's not be naive. Let's not be naive. Some of these players will not ever get it. Some of these players will not ever click with Ruben Amorim, with his system, with the rest of the players. Some of them will not click. Some of them will not get it. But you want the core majority to get it, and the core majority, that's going to take some time. So I'm not too worried. I'm a bit disappointed in the players. I have nothing against Ruben Amorim so far. I think Ruben Amorim set out with what he had to set out with. I think, he made 2 substitutions fairly quickly. I think the difference between that would have been, maybe Erik ten Hag would have waited till the 75th minute to make a couple changes. He made 2 changes, right before the 60th minute, trying to make a change in the game. And also, Ruben Amorim made all the changes that I pretty much asked for. At halftime, I said, take off Rashford. I wanted Delo off. He didn't take Delo off, but I wanted Delo off. He took off Johnny Evans. He put on Shaw. I wanted Eriksen to come off. Maybe even a Casemiro. He ended up taking all these players off. So he made all the changes I asked for, but it was still very lackluster. And you can see that the team lacks a certain idea, a certain mentality. They still are suffering PTSD of Eric Ten Hag and before Eric Ten Hag. Some of them that have been here before Eric Ten Hag, they have certainly been. They still play in a PTSD sort of manner where they don't know what to do with the ball going forward. They understand the concept of they're trying to hold possession of the ball, but they don't know how to make it hold possession but also attack and be threatening. What I see what happens with this team is they try a couple times to go forward. They lose the ball very sloppily. They lose the ball very, very easily. They get counterattacked. They get hit. The other team gets a threatening chance out of it, and they start playing scared because they start playing in like, we're losing the ball. They start getting in their own head. We're losing the ball too quickly. We're losing the ball too easily. We're giving away good chances to the other team. And they start playing a little bit nervous when they get the ball, and then they don't want to risk going forward. They don't want to actually try because they've run out of ideas. They don't know what to do with the ball. They're like, every time we try to pass the ball forward, we give it away. And we're getting sort of cut open. So everybody just starts being a lot more reserved. That to me is something that Ruben Amorim is going to have to unlock. He is going to have to unlock that in the players. He is going to have to get the players to get out of that mentality and push through that barrier, because it is a barrier that is stopping Manchester United from actually playing football, and it is a key problem, and it is a key issue, and he is going to have to figure out how to get these players to unlock that in their mental. But the chat members are here, so I want to get to the chat members because it's been a while since we've spoken. So I hope everybody's doing well. And I want to know what you guys are feeling and what you guys are thinking on the match. And you know what you thought and what you saw out there today. And Richard is saying, well, still too much backward passing, yes, side to side passing and not finding our passing targets. And I think that goes hand in hand, Richard, with kind of the thing that I was talking about. It's sort of this PTSD. We've seen this similar thing from the players before. So and Amorim said it in his press conferences. He said it in his match conferences. His press match conferences. He said it. You know, it doesn't matter really too much if you play in a 3-back, a 4-back, or a 5-back. That's not going to really make the exact, you know, changes that you need at Manchester United. What's going to make the changes is the core principles. And obviously, you know, having a few days to try and teach them the core principles, they're not just going to take the core principles like a sponge and implement it into the game perfectly. And always the core principles was always the biggest problem. It was something Eric Ten Hag spoke about, but it was something that Eric Ten Hag, we never saw it develop under Eric Ten Hag, which was a major issue. So we're going to have to see. But I think that, over time, we will get there. I think the confidence in Amorim, he has the talk. And so far, I do believe he has the walk to go with the talk. But I think the walk is going to take a little bit to get there for us to see the actual proof of it. So, you know, we got to get there. Richard saying none of this is on Amorim, but we need to change not 3 or 4 players, but 7 or 8. Well, we do have to change quite a few. And this is something that I'm saying, like, you know, some of these players aren't going to click. Some of these players are going to be absolutely exposed as we move forward. It's early days. They're going to get chances. I think some of us already have a very good idea of what players aren't going to really survive, aren't going to really produce anything for Amorim and our team going forward. But for Ruben Amorim, it is one of a learning curve. This is a learning curve. Whether you like it or not, we have to accept the fact that he is going to have to be learning these things as he's moving forward. So that's why everything is going to take some time. And it's going to take some weeks, maybe even months, because he has to see it up close and personal firsthand. He needs to experience it. You know, if many people think Marcus Rashford is a problem and Marcus Rashford is not good enough and Marcus Rashford needs to be sold, that may very well be. Ruben Amorim might have watched some matches on the TV, but as a manager, you're not just going to take what you see on the TV. You got to take it as a first-hand experience. You got to take it as you're managing him and you're coaching him in training and on the pitch. And he's going to have to learn that, okay, well, unfortunately, I think Marcus Rashford has some talent there, but clearly Marcus Rashford has shown me these X, Y, and Z, which I've come to the decision and the realization that he is not, he cannot be a useful player to me because he does not do X, Y, and Z, but he's going to have to experience it firsthand. Lions is in here as well. Lions, good to see you. And Alien Tenno is in here as well. Lions saying Delo was shit. Shaw on Thursday, left wing back. Well, the thing about Delo was his decision making. First of all, he looked half asleep, but his decision making, like a couple other players out there, I mean, I don't know what he was doing. I don't think he knew what he was doing. He looked very lost today. I was actually very surprised that he looked one of the worst players out there. I thought we would maybe see sort of a high rated performance from the likes of Delo and Bruno Fernandes because they are Portuguese. And Delo is one that usually gives his all and usually has a decent mentality. But I wanted him off. I wanted him off at halftime. That's how bad he was, and I never asked for Delo to be off at halftime. But him and Marcus Rashford specifically, I wanted them off at halftime. So Alien Tenno saying that Rashford 1v1 against Tuanzebe was pathetic. Sell him. Fair enough. Lions saying poor Shaw tried to overlap Delo. Left center back is not Shaw's position. Well, listen, I think Shaw was all right in left center back. I think Shaw has played left center back before, and I think he's played pretty well. I don't think that was necessarily a problem in any way. And again, with the people like Luke Shaw, he's been out for so long. He hasn't played a match in so long that, there's going to be some things that come out of that aren't going to look great, it's going to be a little bit of rustiness. It's going to feel a little bit awkwardness. I mean, heck, the change in pace in the show, that I can only do one show a week, even for me, it feels a little bit strange. Because I've been used to doing them multiple days, and now I'm only doing them once a week. And you go through a whole week, and you get to the show, and you feel sort of a little strange, a little bit of awkwardness, a little bit of like you're not used to it. You know what I mean? So I can only like understand that. Like, imagine you're a player and you don't play for like weeks and months and matches. You come back, you're gonna feel like a little bit of awkwardness. You're gonna feel a little bit sort of out of place. When you're playing a match every week, you were a lot more comfortable. So we got to see what happens with that. Ray saying it's going to take a lot of work to change these players. And some of them, yeah. But the problem with that, Ray, is he's not going to be able to change every player. And we have to understand this. Like, there is players. I don't think you have to necessarily change the players themselves. You have to change the mentality and the understanding and the core principles of the group as a whole. It's not the individuals per se. It is the understanding as a whole, as a team. Ruben Amorim has spoke about this in his pre-match press conferences. I haven't seen what he said in the post-match press conference, and I want to get to that because I'm interested to see what he said. But every interview and everything that he's done before this match today, he's talked about this, and I think he's absolutely right, because I listened to him and I was like, this guy is saying the same things I've been saying for 6+ months. And it's good that when a manager comes in and you're sort of like, okay, he gets it. He understands it. He's actually been watching this team. He's actually been watching Manchester United play. He's not that naive. He still has to see things for, firsthand, up and close and personal. Because that's just what it has to be as a manager, as a coach, whatever it is. But he said these things. There is a certain, listen, even my friend that is a Sporting fan wrote in the group chat today, and they haven't been watching too much of Manchester United. They look at the results. Maybe they catch a match here or there. Maybe they watch a few minutes, right? They're not United fans. But they all watched today because they're all Portuguese. They wanted to see what he was going to do, right? And one of them was like, it was like, this team is ass. He was like, you guys look like you've never played with each other. And I was like, it's absolutely hilarious how somebody that is not a Manchester United fan, that probably hasn't watched a full match of Manchester United in over a year, has watched one match and has already identified the clearest problem in that. Why do our players go in the pitch and they look like they've just met each other? I don't know how many times we've gone into a match reaction. I don't know how many times we've gone into a match reaction after the match and we said our players look like they've never played with each other. Our players look like they've just met each other for the first time 2 minutes before the match. And I got my friend that's a Sporting fan watching the match, and that is the first thing that he says. So that is clear. And Ruben Amorim has said that. Like, it is clear. And that is a problem. And he's going to have to sort that out. We're not going to accomplish anything if we can't figure that out, because that is the most basic of basic things. So, Alien Tenno saying Onana saved us. Absolutely. Onana had an absolutely fantastic game. He made some fantastic saves. I was going to criticize him for the goal that went in, but it took a deflection, and I think if it didn't take the deflection, he would have saved it. To save that ball off of that deflection like that would have been, some superhuman thing, because he had the angle correct. I think he was there. I think he was quick enough, and I think he would have saved that goal, because I didn't realize it took a deflection. But then when I saw it took a deflection, I was like, well, there's nothing really he could do about that. I think he was absolutely going to save that ball. And it's just a bit unlucky. So, Lions saying, Rashford goal saved us, not getting beaten. Well, maybe, in a way, but, for sure, Onana made some good saves. And they had the more threatening opportunities, and they had the more dangerous opportunities. And if it wasn't for those saves that Onana made, they certainly would have put more than one in. So, to me, that Rashford goal didn't necessarily save us, because they should have probably scored about 3 or 4 goals today, Ipswich. I don't know how they didn't. I don't know how they didn't score some of the goals. And Rashford scoring that one goal wouldn't have been enough. So, maybe we can combine it and say both of them did enough to save us. So, listen, we're not hating Rashford. We're just calling it how it is. It's not hate. It's not hate. I want to say to you, Lions, it's not hate. Hate would be start calling them all sorts of names, calling them Trashford, start attacking him personally. But I'm not hating him, but it's just the reality of what it is. I mean, I watched that performance today. There's nothing I can say good about his performance today. As much as I would want to. We're giving him constructive criticism. It's not hate. We should be clear into identify that is not hate. He is a professional player on the world has watched that match today. The world has watched that match today, and the world is going to be critical because they're looking at a player like Marcus Rashford, all this talk about him, and what he gave to us wasn't good. I mean, he started off the match with that goal, and that was good, but what did he do after that? Nothing. So there's nothing you can really prop up and say Rashford did good here, Rashford did there, besides the tap-in the 2 minutes. But football is a 90-something minute match. So, yeah, I think Shaw did good. And it was good to see him back out on the pitch. And hopefully we see Malacia back soon. He was on the bench, but he didn't get minutes. And I think hopefully we see Lenioro. He wasn't part of the match, but the chat is skipping, so excuse me. Ray is saying there's 4 or 5 players that has to move on before your team able to go forward, and very well maybe so. But I disagree, and I agree with that, Ray, to a certain extent. I think you're not wrong when you say that there are 4 or 5 players that for the team to move forward. But the team can also move forward with these 4 or 5 players there, because again, there are some very basic and core principles that regardless of those 4 or 5 players, those things should be happening within a squad dynamic as a team as a whole. Those players should not be stopping that from happening, because they're professional footballers. They should be able to do the same things as well. Then once you hit that spot, then to go beyond that spot, that's when those 4 or 5 players really come into the frame, and you say, okay, these players, to take the next step after that, these players clearly don't fit in one way or another, and we're going to have to move them on and replace them with other players. But the basic core principles of not losing, I mean, Amorim said it in his pre-match press conference. We lose the ball way too quickly, and we don't run back. And I would add on to that, we play scared, and we don't know what to do with the ball going forward. When a team gives us space, we excel. When a team plays like how Ipswich did today, we struggle, and we don't know what to do. We don't know how to create. So I would add those things to Ruben Amorim's list. I don't think he mentioned that, but I would add those things. And those are basic. Those are basic things. This isn't, it's not rocket science that we're talking about. Those are basic level things in any team at any level. Even Ipswich could do it, and they're at the bottom of the table. So those things you need to sort out first. We need to take that first step before we start saying, all right, Rashford, Bruno, this player and that player, they got to go before we go anywhere. Maybe so, but we didn't even hit that point yet. We need to get the core basics of our football down first, the identity and the mentality. I've been talking about this for months and months and months. I've been talking about this since last season under Ten Hag. I've been talking about it since when Ineos came in and took over. You need to create a foundation, a solid foundation of core principles, of mentality and understanding, and you need that. You need that, and Ruben Amorim said the same thing. He said everything else is pointless, and I 100% agree. We could work on tactics all day long, but if you don't have those core principles, then it's all for nothing, because it will literally collapse out from under you, like it did to Erik Ten Hag. So, Lion saying, nor did Ahmad. He did the best with what he got, and that was good enough. Woodward put these dead players on crazy wages, and the managers have to deal with these. Well, I think you're getting a little bit confused there, because how many players are still here from Woodward's time? There's also Richard Arnold. So maybe you met Richard Arnold. But again, we bring in a lot of new players over the past, 2 seasons or so. So, I don't know. Like, we're going to have to... and I did say this. We're in part 1 of the rebuild. We're in phase 1. Phase 2 will come in the summer again. Apparently, we are gearing up to do some sort of a... some business in January that I read. Apparently Sir Jim wants it. So Grace is here saying Amorim out, get Southgate ASAP. Yeah. Richard giving some banter back, telling Diego Delo out. And I think he actually pronounced it Diego Dildo. Delo is not a left wing back. Well, I agree with that, Grace. I think he looked very uncomfortable in that position, in that side. He didn't look up to it. He didn't really seem like he really seemed out of it today. He didn't seem like he knew or understood what he was supposed to do. His decision making was very bad. And he was giving the ball away too much. So, yeah, but again, we have to do what we have to do with, what we have, because Delo had to play left wing back because, you had to play Diallo right wing back. And he obviously said that he wants to play the defensive players wing backs to start, because it's harder to get the wingers to actually defend for you. So, Axe is back. Axe Lord, it's good to see you. How you been? We missed you. I haven't seen you for a while. Um, Axel is saying, if that wasn't the worst performance of the season, I don't know what was. Absolutely dog shit. The coach said he is a dreamer. That game was a nightmare. No gameplay, no play style. I mean, listen, but it's gonna be like that. It's gonna be like that. Because it's going to be like that because he's already said that he's going with his way, and he's not going to change it, and he's obviously shown that because he played a 3-4-2-1. He's had less than a week to really train with the entire squad, so I already had sort of that feeling that this might not go exactly the way we want it to because there's a lot of uncertainty around how much has he been able to get through to the players, what have they been able to learn, and it's only 1 week. So we didn't lose the match. We played away from home, and we got a draw. It's disappointing. It's a letdown. We wanted to get a win. He obviously wanted to get a win to start off his thing. But this is going to take, at least a few weeks, if not a month or so. And especially at this point in time. Like, let's not be fooled. It's not like he's joined in the summer, and he has like a whole preseason ahead of him. We're in the middle of a season. They've made the job for him is even more difficult than it probably already would be because we have a match on Thursday. I don't how much training you're going to be able to do in between all these matches and actually get what you need to get down in this amount of time. It's already a challenge, and clearly has a lot of work to do. So, but that to me was to be expected. The players might be a little bit lost. The players might be out of position. The players might not actually know what to do with the ball. Because again, I keep looking at in this certain way. Because this is the way that Amorim is going to go down. When Klopp came, it was the same thing at Liverpool. They played matches. I remember watching the matches. I said the matches were dog shit. I laughed at Liverpool. I laughed at Klopp because they were losing matches. They looked awful. It looked very bad. The same thing happened with Pep Guardiola at Manchester City. I remember him being heavily criticized for trying to play this tiki-taka Barcelona Spanish type of football. He was heavily criticized, saying that cannot be played in the Premier League. It'll never work, and he's going to have to change it. Neither one of them changed it. Both of them suffered short-term pain for the long-term gain, and both of them ended up successful. And Amorim is going to have to do the same thing, in my opinion, because every manager before Ruben Amorim, post-Ferguson, has come in with a way that they think they're going to play. They come in, they go to try and play it after a few bad results, and you would say maybe this is a bad result, right? They realize a lot of these players cannot do it, so they switch it up, and they try to create a new system, but that ends up in failure anyway. And what has to happen is you have to start, like Amorim said, you start from day one, you go with his system, his style. It's what's made him successful. It's what has made him the talk of the town and an exciting prospect in terms of a manager in the future. And you start with that from day one, and you continue with that, and you go with that. And you get whatever players you can on board and hitting the highs in that, and whatever players can't, that's where Ineos has to come in, and they have to do their job like they did similar to Arsenal, where they said Aubameyang is a problem, this guy is a problem, this guy cannot play the football I want. Pep Guardiola did the same thing at Manchester City. Jurgen Klopp did the same thing at Liverpool. This player I can't have, doesn't work. Get me a right back. Pep bought 7 right backs before he found his right back. You can't. He's not going to be able to transform every player into an amazing player. So it is certainly a problem. Ray saying the whole team plays like winning 5-0. We don't test the other goalkeeper. But I think that the reason for that, Ray, is because they don't have a good understanding of each other, of where they are on the pitch, and of the new instructions and the new way that they are trying to play. So they become hesitant. They play a little bit scared. They play a little bit with like not enough confidence because they understand the basic concept of, okay, we don't want to lose the ball. But when you play with the concept of you don't want to lose the ball, but you're finding it difficult to create, you start playing scared because in your head, you're like, okay, I can't lose the ball because like that's literally one of our main principles is like, don't lose the ball. You know, but then it's like, well, I don't know what to do with it. The positioning from our teammates is bad, right? The space isn't opening up. We're getting pressed. I don't know what to do with it. So they start playing very slow. And this is what I'm saying. Like, he's going to have to figure out, he's going to have to build some confidence in them to get that out. Because I think, again, like we talked about in the past on the Ten Hag, there was a moment or two where you can see that they can do it. They can play in a certain manner. They can attack. They can create something. But it's only for that significant moment. And then it disappears for another 30 minutes. So, Lions is saying he's excited about Mount to be unlocked. I'm very behind in the chat, but Gray saying we should have lost 4-1. Alien saying when Guy O'Cara is a championship player at best is way better than Rashford. You know you have problems. Lyle's in here too. Lyle, good evening. Good to see you. How you feeling about the match? Let me know. Let me know. Lions saying, but they didn't score 3 or 4 goals. So they didn't, but they could have. I would argue they should have. Not that they could have. They should have. I certainly think they should have. So I would say it's probably a mixture of the Rashford goal saved us, yes, and also Onana saved us. Both of them saved us. In a way, one way or another. But again, the overall performance. See, for me, Onana, performance, 90 minutes, fantastic. Marcus Rashford, 90-minute performance. So he didn't play for 90 minutes, but for the whole time, nowhere near good enough. Nowhere near good enough. And then that's what it is for me today. Garnacho didn't look comfortable today, says Richard. Yeah, I think it was the whole team. I think it's, again, I don't think they had enough time to really absorb it as much as maybe we needed them to. I think the whole team was a little bit uncomfortable. I think the whole team was a little bit unfamiliar. And I think this is something that we are going to have to deal with for the first few couple weeks, at least. A few couple games, at the very least. Because, again, we are in the middle of a season. It's hard to kind of get that transition when we have another game on Thursday and then we have a game on Sunday again after that. So it makes life much more difficult to get that down. I expect them to get it down, and I think they have to get it down for sure. And sooner rather than later. But again, I think this is one of the things that we just have to listen. We have to deal with it right now. In the short term, we have to deal with it. We have to accept it for what it is. It is what it is. In the hopes that over the long period, it will get sorted out. Now, over the long period, if it doesn't get sorted out, then we have a much bigger issue and a much bigger problem that we have to discuss and address and start breaking down. But Gray's saying I'm the only one who gets to hate Rashford because I have an agenda. Line saying constructive. How is Alien saying he needs to be sold? Constructive. Well, that's Alien's opinion, and he's allowed to say that. And if he thinks that Marcus Rashford isn't good enough, that's I wouldn't say it's constructive, but I wouldn't say it's hate. If Alien came in here and started saying Marcus Rashford is an absolute prat, and other words that I'm not going to say because I don't want to say it as an example, but if he was saying things like that, I think that's hate towards Marcus Rashford. You would say that's abusive hate because you're personally attacking somebody. Like if you said he looked like a penguin or some shit and started saying some crazy things, but saying that he needs to be sold, I don't think is hate. I think it's a fair thing to say right now because he's not playing good. He hasn't been good. He hasn't been good, and this is going to be his second season. And even though he scored a goal today, the performance of overall wasn't good, but it wasn't just him. So we can't just single him out as well because the team didn't play good. But there is grounds to make the argument. There are lots of fans out there that are saying Marcus Rashford is a problem. We don't think Marcus Rashford is good enough, and we think it's time to move Marcus Rashford on. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that because I think there's a fair argument to say. Obviously, there's other people out there that think Marcus Rashford needs a little bit more time. He needs an arm around the shoulder, and they've seen him be good in the past, and they think Marcus Rashford can come back to that. I'm leaning a little bit more towards right now that as of right now, I just don't see a resurgence for Marcus Rashford. I think there is, I don't know what is the actual problem between himself, and Manchester United, but there's clearly something wrong. And he's not showing me anything on the pitch where I do believe like, all right, he just needs a little bit more of this or a little bit more of that, and it's going to start clicking for him. He's cutting a real frustrating figure right now. And I don't know. And the way I see it, and maybe I'm being super negative, but the way I see it, I don't see a resurgence coming from him at this moment. What he gave to me today on the pitch, I don't see it. I think we're gonna see a little bit more similar to that. There was a lot of times that he was walking around up top, the ball right next to him, not making an effort to go for it. I can't accept that. I cannot accept that from a Manchester United player. It was getting under my skin. It was agitating me. There's a player literally 2 feet next to you with the ball, and you're just walking right next to him, looking at him, making a pass. Like I can't accept that. So but I do know that, if he doesn't do the things that Ruben Amorim asks from him, he will find himself on the bench. So right now he is starting. Right now he is going to get chances. But if he doesn't do the things that Amorim asks, Amorim will bench him, and Amorim will put other players ahead of him. That much I do know. Gavin Williams is in here. Gavin Williams is saying he can't understand United fans. Amorim clearly said many times, we will not see much change in this match, but we will see what he is trying to do. And I agree with that. Listen, Gavin, you're absolutely right. I said it probably before you came in here. He did say that. And you're not going to see. It's for clear and obvious reasons why you're not going to see. It's only a week. He's not bloody Harry Potter. I said this in the past shows. He's not going to come to United, wave a magic wand, and all of a sudden everybody is going to be fantastic. The players are still the same players, and the problems that were there before him are still the same problems. Like, that stuff was going to take time. We didn't really get a good like, we've seen what he was trying to do. I think one of the biggest things that I can point out, and maybe more so in the first half than the second half, is the only one thing that I can really put my finger on today was we passed the ball back to the keeper a lot less than we were before. But in the match today, there wasn't much because we didn't do much. I think, like Richard said, it was a lot of too much sideways passing. But that was already a problem before he got there. He's gonna have to sort that out. So, Richard saying he would sell Rashford, and Richard saying, look, you have to give Amorim time, no instant success. And Gavin is saying fans expect he will turn United into world beaters in 1 week is insane. No, it is insane, and I don't think that's the majority, though, Gavin. I really don't think that's the majority of fans out there. I think it's the loudest ones. I think they're a minority of people. But I think they're the loudest ones. And because they are the loudest ones, I think people take it as like they're the majority. But I don't, because I think the majority of United fans do understand the problems that are at Manchester United and how the problems go. It's not in directness with solely the manager, it's with the players, and then the ecosystem inside of the players and the ability of the players. And there are some things that have been at the club, regardless of the manager, that is out of the manager's hands, and it's going to take Ineos to do it. They are going to, right. They're in charge of the club. Amorim spoke about this a little bit. It is Amorim and Ineos' job to set the culture, to set the foundation, to set the standards. It starts with them. So they need to do that for the players to have a good foundation. It's only one match. Exactly. It's only one match. There's no reason to get carried away. This is what I'm saying. Like, I'm not worried. I was a little bit disappointed because I thought we could see a little bit more from the players. I thought I could see a little bit more intensity. At the very least. You know, I kind of had the feeling of like, listen, I don't know. You know, I was asked by my friends, you guys going to win tomorrow? And I told them straight up, I said, listen, I don't know. I don't know what we're going to get from the players. I don't know how much they've gotten under their belt under Amorim. There's a lot of indecisiveness. There's a lot of question marks over the team. I was like, I don't know what's going to show up. Are they gonna you know, play their absolute hearts out? I don't think we ran enough today. I don't think we had enough intensity. You know, it's an issue. It's an issue. I don't know if they're suffering a little bit of a withdrawal because they had sort of a little bit of a bounce from Ten Hag to Rude, and Rude is gone, and now Amorim is here, and there's a bit of an adjustment period because they were liking life a little bit under Rude. Now things had to change again, and it's back to Amorim. You know, there's all these things going on, so it's going to take a little bit. Axe said it took people from August to October to throw Eric Ten Hag under the bus. I will give Amorim 3 months in charge under this beautiful structure of Seraphes. Well, I would tell you, Axe, that it did not take fans from August to October. It took fans 2.5 seasons. Because I think the first season was good. The second season was bad, but we gave him the benefit of the doubt for injuries and some of the players. But again, you know, he was never able to continue under the way it was going. And he certainly didn't help himself with a lot of the decisions he made. So RSV is saying, big up yourself, RSV. Good to hear from you. Good to see you. It's been a week. Saying Rashford and Garnacho both will get phased out soon. Today was on the players. Oh, 100% it was on the players. But it's always mostly been on the players anyway. It's mostly always been on the players. Amorim at least made some changes in the lineup instead of changing the system, which is the right thing to do. Lions saying top 4 this season, top 3 next, and champ the one after that. Well, I hope so. RSV saying Eriksson, Casemiro, Evans, Delo will also get phased out soon. We looked better defensively in the second half. Well, I mean, it looks like that right now, but what I want to see and what I hope to see from some of these players is, because I think we have some players there. Like, I think, right? Okay, like, I think Eriksson, obviously, in summer, he's got to go. I think Casemiro's got to go, and I think Evans got to. I think those 3 players, they're too old. And I don't think they can continue after this season, right? So those players like that. I think a player like Delo, a player like Garnacho, and a couple other players in there, I think those players are decently good enough. Now, whether you want to say that they're a starter, I think they're good enough to be somewhere part in the squad, right? And what I want to see happen is the players get uplifted in a manner of like they play to a certain standard, a certain level. Like, kind of, I don't know how to, I don't know what to label it as, but I will give you the example of like when Ferguson was the manager, and you look at teams like we won Champions League matches against teams, and we won leagues, and we would field the team with like the likes of a Wes Brown and a John O'Shea and a Darren Fletcher, and you look at that team and you're like, there's no stars. There's no stars in the team, and we win the match 4-0, right? He was able to get those players to play probably above the level of an average player. And that's kind of what I'm looking for. Like, I think we have some players that are decently good players, but they're playing very even below their average right now. And I would like to see that get raised. And I think if we can raise it around 75% of the players at the squad, because I don't think you can do it for 100%. If you could do it for 75%, it'll put us in a much better position. I think some of these players are good enough to be able to contribute, whether it would be as a starter or as somebody coming off of the bench. But right now, the squad as a whole is playing way below their level and their value. So he's gotta figure out how to instill back the confidence, instill back, some type of just like mentality in there, because you could tell they're lacking it severely. They are severely lacking it with the way they play. Just on the whole manager thing, the manager will be given as much time as the manager gives himself. The fans can have whatever opinion they want on the manager, and fans wanting a manager sacked doesn't, in the grand scheme of things, if your football club is run properly, fans wanting the manager sacked has no implication whatsoever. It has no implication, because they have to do what's right for the football club. Fans being pissed off about the manager should have no implication, because if they think he's the guy and they understand that the manager isn't a problem and that the players are a problem, then they shouldn't be sacking the manager and they should be sacking the players. So fans having and holding the opinion of if they back this manager or they don't back this manager, sure, it's great for discussion and whatever, but it should have no actual overall impact at the end game, because the people in charge of the club should know what to do with that. Like Florentino Perez, in charge of Real Madrid, the fans might think one player is a problem, or they might think a certain manager is a problem, but he can literally just essentially give them the middle finger and be like, no, you're all wrong. He's like, I know what the issues are. I'm keeping this guy. He's staying because I believe in him and I know it's going to work, and I'm going to address this other issue there. So, the fans that wanted Ten Hag sacked did not get Ten Hag sacked. The players and Ten Hag got Ten Hag sacked. That's the end of it. Like, that's all it is. The players let Ten Hag down. Ten Hag made mistakes, let himself down as well. So, Gavin Williams saying, and positive things will get better in the next few games. I think so too. It's one match in. And I always knew that this was how it's going to go. Even in the next few matches, I'm going to keep saying this. I'm willing to suffer short-term pain in the next few matches if it means that we get actually something built out of it in the longer run. Because the way I'm looking at this situation that we are in, right, is exactly how I seen it happen at Liverpool, at Manchester City, and Manchester City's was a little bit different, but a little bit similar, because City was building it years before Pep came, but they got to the point when Pep came, and it still suffered when Pep came. And Arsenal, under Arteta. Those three, I think, literally the same thing has happened. They come in, they have a way of playing, they implemented it from day one, and they suffered. They suffered. Almost immediately they suffered, because it's never going to click like that straight away. And you're going to get some good things to come out of it, and then there's going to be some setbacks. What we need to see over a longer period of time is from today, over the longer period of time, what is being built, what have we improved, what still needs to be improved. And then you can start judging it a little bit better of if he is actually doing a good job, if there is actually something that we are moving towards that is going to be successful or not. But it's still way too early days. And you got to see. RSV saying, Maz, Diallo, Mount, Euro are a great foundation to build upon. Yeah. I think there's a couple other players in there as well. For me, I would even for me, I would throw in I like Garnacho. I think Garnacho is very good. Um, he's a young player. He still has some inconsistencies. He still has some growth to do. I think Mano is definitely one you could throw in there as well. I think um I think Ugarte is going to be good. I think you've seen Ugarte when he got in there. I think you've seen what Ugarte got to. So, yeah. Um, Adriel Valentine. So we've seen a couple new chat members in here. So I'm glad you guys are here. Saying, Adriel Valentine said, body language management in games is paramount. Too many thrown up hands. Rashford, Garner, and Bruno. Well, I think, maybe not in the match, I would say. I understand what you're saying, though, and that has to come from the culture. That has to come from the mentality, as a club as a whole, inside of the dressing room, the culture, the respect for one another, stuff like that. That's something that he's already spoken about, and he said, Amorim, that he took it upon himself, but also the club. There was this controversy with Rashford and Casemiro going to America to watch these basketball games, and taking 5 days off, and it was a whole shitstorm that didn't need to be a shitstorm, because to me it's just a bunch of nonsense. But he was asked about that by Gary Neville, and he said, listen, he said, personally, me, would I have given them 5 days off? Would I've wanted them to fly to America, take 5 days off, and then come back? He didn't personally want it, but he was like, at the end of the day, they are grown men. The club gave them 5 days off. Nobody told them that they weren't allowed to do what they did. So it's not their fault. He's like, we have to set that standard. We have to let them know, hey, you can't fly. You have 5 days off. You cannot go to America. You are not allowed to get on a plane and go. The club did not do that. And he was like, that's the responsibility from the club. And I absolutely 100% agree. Like, the club needs to stamp out an authority from the top down. Again, we've talked about this in the past. And this is something that Ineos really have to get a hold of. Because there are things that are up above that need to start from there and come down on the players. Yeah, I agree with you, Gavin. And that's a little bit of part of the problem in the fan base. And we've seen this with every manager. You're absolutely right, Gavin. And it's unfortunate, and I don't know why people necessarily have to be like that, because again, for me, it's not about the individual himself. I want the club to win. I want the club to succeed. I don't know why people get so like tied up into like one person or one player. Like, if you're not doing the job, you gotta go. I don't, like, at this point, I really don't care who it is anymore. I don't care if it whatever player it is. I don't care what manager it is. I don't care. Like, you need to show me you're actually building something, and you need to get actual results. And if you're not doing it, you can go. And we'll go and get somebody else until we get somebody that actually works. But this happens a lot. This happened, when we went from Mourinho to Solskjaer. There was people, like you're saying, Gavin, that there was people that they wanted Solskjaer to fail because they loved Mourinho. When Solskjaer got sacked, there was people that wanted Ten Hag to fail almost immediately because they didn't want Solskjaer to get sacked. And I think it's very unfortunate, because I don't believe in that stuff, and it doesn't make sense to me. You're asking for another manager to fail at the club because your guy failed, and you think that he was done wrong by, so now you want the same thing done to the new guy. And it doesn't make sense to me, because that means that Manchester United is once again going to fail. And the overall bigger picture is we want Manchester United to succeed, and we want Manchester United to be good again, and be successful. So that's the stuff that I don't really get it. Lions saying surely no United fan want him to fail. You would be surprised, Lions. You would be surprised. Of the people out there. I'm sure that it's not a lot, and I'm sure that it might be a 1%. But I'm sure out of the, what do we have on the planet? 6 billion, whatever, trillion, whatever it is. I'm sure you will find at least 10, if not more. You would be surprised. There are people out there that are absolutely like that. It is what it is. You're not going to change them. You're not going to be able to do anything. You can completely ignore them, or you can address them. It's up to you, but you're not going to be able to do things like that. Lions saying we have a good team. I honestly believe that. They just need to be utilized properly, and the gaffer isn't stupid. He'll get it right. And yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I don't think our team is actually as bad as we've been and as some people say they are. I think a lot of the players are playing very below the level that they can be playing on a regular, consistent basis, and that's something that that's what I'm trying to say, is that I want to see Amorim kind of uplift that, because I think that they can at least give us that much. And then we can really start nitpicking in, all right, this player doesn't play this position well enough. He doesn't give us enough. Let's move him on. Let's get somebody else in and start fitting pieces to the puzzle. Richard's saying that he agrees, and he says, I have since 1966 always supported Manchester United, the club. Yeah, and listen, it's tricky. I got a little carried away with it at one point as well. Because I wanted these guys to do so well. So I backed them. But at some point, you have to accept the reality of, if you're not getting the results, regardless of the circumstances, if you're not getting the results, at one point or another, or you're not putting in the performances, at one point or another, you have to accept that it's over. It's over, and it's time for things to move on. Adriel Valentine saying no true Man United fan wants the manager to fail. Well, yeah, I agree with like what you mean by that, because I would say the same thing. But again, I used to say the same thing. I used to say, like, I don't understand how you can call yourself a true Man United fan, and you want, because we've seen this under multiple different managers, and I used to call it out on social media and say, how can you call yourself a United fan and you're literally asking for this guy to get sacked, which means is like you're celebrating United losing a match because it means he's one step closer to getting sacked. And I never understood that, but I've heard these people speak, and you have to understand that their brains might work a little bit different, or their thought process might work a little bit different, in the fact of that they don't think that that person is the man to get the job done. They actually conform in their brain that it is an absolute waste of time. Like, there is somebody out there right now that from the second Ten Hag got sacked and Amorim's name was being linked to Manchester United, someone somewhere out there was like, I don't want Ruben Amorim. I don't know him, or I don't like him. I don't think he's good enough. Now, this person is already in their head, came up with like, he is an absolute waste of time. He's going to fail. And I don't want him here at the club. Therefore, they make this idea in their brain of like, this is a waste of time. He's going to fail. The faster he gets sacked, the better for my club. They actually rationalize it in a way of that he needs to fail so that my club can then become better and improve, because he is the wrong man and it is a waste of time. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but that's sort of how, like, I see them rationalize it. Like, a lot of people, they get into this thing of like, him being there is going to do more damage to the club than him losing a few matches and then getting sacked. Therefore, we need him. It's almost the backwards of the short-term pain, long-term gain type of thing that I was talking about. Like, they would rather lose a bunch of matches in this space to get a manager sacked because they think over the long term it's going to hurt even more the longer he stays and prolongs, because he's a bad coach, a bad manager. So that's they kind of come up with this way of thinking in their head. That's why they actually. So I understand what you're saying, Adriel, and I do agree with that sentiment. But at the same time, they would actually argue the opposite, Adriel, and say I'm a true Man United fan because I'm trying to stop the club from getting hurt in a long-term type of thing, because I already know, they're already convinced that this manager isn't the one, that he isn't going to work, that he's not good enough, and therefore the longer he stays, the more damage he's going to do over the longer period of time. It's strange, and I know it sounds weird and it sounds kind of confusing, but you know, we look at it one way, they're looking at it a different way. Who's right? You can argue all day. But it is a little bit, you know, strange. Lyle saying, I wanted a win so badly, but not only for United, but for Amorim. However, I understood that it's his first game. He had like 2 sessions with the squad. What did we really want to see today? Well, the thing was, like, you know, even when he took over Monday, there was only 11 senior players. So he only had what you would say probably was the starting 11 anyway, because I think that's what he put out. I think the starting 11 he put out was these 11 senior players he had on Monday training. They had the longest time, therefore he went with them. You know, no Lisandro Martinez. We were missing a couple other players. You know, I don't think that team is the team that we're going to see as we move forward. I think, you know, Johnny Evans is obviously not going to start. There's going to be a question going on of what actually happens with the wingbacks. I don't think Christian Eriksen and maybe the likes of Casemiro are necessarily going to stay put as well. I could actually probably see, and it's going to be interesting for me what he does with Kobe Mainoo, because there's an argument you can put Mainoo where Eriksen played. You know, or you could put Mount, or you could put Mount where Bruno plays. You know, or you could put Mainoo where Bruno was playing as well, because a lot of people argue that Mainoo, you can actually throw him a little bit more forward, and he seems to be a little bit more technically better there. So, you know, it's going to be interesting to see what he does with him. If you guys smashed the like button, thank you. If you haven't, please do, because it helps us grow. And if you new subscriber, I have to get the notification back up, because I used to have a little notification here that would pop up on the screen that would tell me who subscribed, so I could like shout you out. So if you subscribed and you're new, thank you. I greatly appreciate it. And make sure you hit the notification bell so you know when we go live. Because so I actually have a quick update for you guys, and I'll tell you this now, because we got a little bit carried away. We didn't do player ratings. I don't even want to really do the player ratings because I don't know what to give most of the players. So today, but guys, tomorrow we can actually go live during the day back at our regular time, because I will actually be around and I will be available. And then Thursday and Friday we will also be going live, because Thursday is Thanksgiving in the United States. So I will be off, and I also have off for Friday. So we will have those 2 days free. Saturday I might be around, but we probably won't do a stream anyway, because then we'll do the stream on the Sunday for the match. So tomorrow I plan on doing a live stream as well. We're going to do a little bit of a topical news type of thing. Well, maybe we'll rediscuss the match again as well, and stuff like that. So just to give you guys the heads up. Lyle saying, I wanted to see an attempt, and I felt like for the most part of the game, we got that. It's a new system, and the manager is not going to change it. We need the time here. Well, he shouldn't change it. That's for me what gives me the confidence, is that he shouldn't change it. He's come out and said that it's my way or the highway. It's my way or there's no way. And that's exactly what I wanted from him. That to me was the biggest thing, a little bit bigger than going and winning 3-0 today, because I know that the whole thing, even if we won 3-0 today, you know, in the next upcoming matches somewhere, there's going to be a hiccup. There's going to be a setback. I already understand that this is part of the process. So we suffered a setback or a little bit of a hiccup today, right? Maybe Thursday we go, we win 3-0, we look a little bit better, a little bit of positivity, then we go, maybe we get another win, and then the match after that, maybe we take a loss. I'm fully expecting this, like, because like you're saying, Lyle, it's a new system, it's a new manager, it's going to take time, and you're in the midst of the season, so it makes it even worse. You know, it's not like we got him in the end of May, and he's got the next 3 months to figure shit out and get a preseason in and train. Like, you know, he's fighting an uphill battle. Lion saying, and they have a match every 3 days now, exactly. So what better kind of training can they ask for? We're going to get ready for the Arsenal. Well, you're right. You're right in the sense of, you know, like, you have a match every 3 days, so it's good you can figure it out, I guess, kind of on the pitch. The bad part is that you're figuring it out on the pitch. I think it's kind of a it's a good and a bad sort of thing, Lions, because the problem with figuring it out on the pitch is you can have a performance and a result like you did today, or it could be worse and you could actually lose the match. You know, in an ideal world, you don't really want to be doing the practicing in the actual match, but in this circumstance, we're going to have to do just that. Lyle saying we also have new analysts in the staff. Absolutely, so you're correct. The footage of this game is going to be used for what? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, the whole process is going to take some time, you know. A line saying, Lions is saying Adriel Valentine is such a class name. I don't know what my parents are thinking when they called me Lionheart. Lionheart says he's a subscriber. Well, I know that. So you were one of the first ones. You were one of the first ones. So, Lyle saying, honestly, we don't know player ratings, to be fair. I can't even give them player ratings because there's like 4 players that I would give them a very poor rating, and the rest of the team, I don't even know what to give them, to be honest, because it's like, you know, some of the center backs or whatever, like, I don't know what to rate them. Most of the game I watched, it's just like we passed the ball from left to right, right to left. We went a little bit forward, we went a little bit backward. I was like, I don't even know how to really judge this. In that certain aspect, you know, I don't really know how to judge them in this aspect. They didn't to me, it was almost like it wasn't a game, you know what I mean? So I have the turkey, you have the turkey, I have the turkey too. What? I opened my fridge yesterday, I saw it in there, so it's gonna be good. Hopefully I'm gonna cook it in a certain way. Well, you guys are chefs, right? You're a chef. Lions is a chef. Lions, how am I supposed to cook this turkey? What's the best way to cook this turkey? Yes, I will be going live tomorrow. I don't have work. I'm off. I gotta go to I have a doctor appointment later on in the day, but we'll go live and then I got a doctor appointment later. So yeah, I'll be around. Adriel is saying, agreed, man. I get what you're saying. Our team is decent, but we move the ball way too slow. Amorim made reference to this post-match. I want us to stay positive. Well, actually, now you just reminded me. So let me read your comments. We'll hit the post-match thing, because I think the post-match comments is probably more important than doing player ratings. Axe wants me to give all the players a 2. I mean, maybe we could. Richard saying, are my football comments being ignored? No, I don't think they should be. Are you saying from me? It's just the chat is skipping around a lot, so sometimes I miss some shit. They shouldn't be, though. What comment specifically, Richard? Put it back in, and I'll read it out again. Maybe I missed it. Ray saying, what I like about Amorim, he changes players early in the game. Don't wait till like the 87th minute. And Angry Frank is here. I think he's gonna be angry, guys. Angry Frank saying, ground zero for Amorim, build from here. All right, not angry. Angry Frank. Angry Frank, not so angry right now. But absolutely, I do agree. Ground zero for Amorim. Build from here. I mean, it has to be. You know, there's no other thing to do. You have to build from here. But the thing is, I think that listen, Amorim, and I said this a few because some of you are new and some of you haven't seen the previous shows, right? And some of you maybe weren't here for that show. And I said that, and I think Amorim said the same thing. Like, he's going to have to get results and performances and show us he's building something for us to continue to back him and trust him and give him more time. You know, you're going to have to show us something. I think this thing has to go standard across the board for everything. It was the same thing I said about Erik ten Hag, and why I was okay with him getting sacked at the end of it. Because I didn't see those things. I didn't see how it was going to improve in that manner. And for me, it wasn't enough, and he had to go. And I will say the same thing for Ruben Amorim. Obviously, I think this season is a bit of a write-off because it's sort of the middle of the season. But obviously, it can't be like that much of a write-off. Like, if we end up like 1 point above relegation, we're gonna have to start questioning, you know, everything. If he finishes outside the top 4 or even top 6, I mean, I don't know how you really. We would have to see what led to that, obviously, to make that decision. But it's like, it's hard because he's in the middle of the season, just came in. He took over from a team that's in 13th position. So it's not like he took over, we were at 6th and dropped us to 15th. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit tricky. But this first season's obviously going to be a bit of a write-off. But obviously then the second season or the season following up to that, we're going to have certain things in place for us to continue to back them. Like, we're going to have to see big differences from this team to that team. And if it's not happening, or it hasn't happened, or there's like severe issues, then obviously we're going to have to be questioning the manager once again, as well as the players. But Ineos have to do their job in the removal of certain players. From me. Maybe I just missed it by accident. I don't know what you said, Richard, but if you want to say it again, because I don't ignore nobody on purpose, but sometimes the chat, what happens is I go to scroll in the chat, and when you guys go far down in the chat, the chat, when I press down on the scroll, the chat sometimes just like skips a lot, and then I miss, I try to find my place, and I might miss a comment here or there, or something. Axe is saying Amorim said the players really wanted to do better, but you can't see that from home. I couldn't see that 100%. Already starting with excuses and asking for time. Well, I'm gonna get to his comments in a second. Ray saying in the oven 1 hour per pound for turkey. No, but like we need some special cooking type. I want some special techniques. I want some special chef techniques, some hidden technique that they don't tell you about, that the chefs keep to themselves. Because I know the chefs, they keep their secrets. They keep their best secret. They don't, you know, they'll give you the recipe, but they'll keep that one secret that makes it taste all the better or something like that. They won't tell you what it is. They keep them secrets. Lions is asking why Frank's angry. Axe is saying, I'm telling you, if the Everton match will be as bad as this one, it's a huge red flag. Well, maybe. Let's see. Well, we have Bode Glimt on Thursday, so let's see what we get out of that first, and then let's see what we get when we get to Everton. Isn't that Richard saying, do we wait, what? Oh, he's talking about his turkey, his wife, and Thanksgiving. Yes. Axel said, "Yeah, United got humiliated by Ipswich." I don't think we didn't necessarily get humiliated. It was a draw. We got a little bit outplayed, right? To me, it was a boring match because Ipswich played very defensive when we got the ball, which is, I think, the correct move anyway from Ipswich. I can't hate on them for that, because I always said, when you give United space, you're doing yourself a disservice. But that was always one of the problems at Manchester United. When a team gets compact and they defend well, we suffer at scoring goals and we don't know how to create. And that is something that is going to need to be unlocked and it needs to be fixed. And Amorim is going to have to do that job. Otherwise, he will end up getting sacked at some point because we won't score and therefore we won't win games and therefore we won't progress as a team. So, you know, Richard is leaving us. All right, Richard. Well, we see you later. Thank you for stopping by. Hopefully, maybe join us tomorrow because we're gonna go live for that. So, appreciate it, Richard. As always. And be good. And we'll talk very, very soon. And then we'll do a Thanksgiving stream as well. And we could kind of talk together. Maybe you could hop on after. Listen, I don't agree. I mean, I don't disagree with Jax. Like, um, I'm not sitting here being excited that we drew the match. I said in the beginning of the thing that, I'm disappointed. It was a bit of a letdown. I think we were all hyped up. We were all hoping for a big win, right? We were hoping to see a bit of a bit of a bigger difference than previously, right? And we didn't get that. I don't think anybody's necessarily excited by the result. I think we're excited by the prospect of the manager. I think many of us like his system. I think they like what he's done at Sporting, and they're hoping that he can replicate it at Manchester United in a certain way. I certainly, right now, am excited by his attitude, the way he speaks, the way his thoughts, and what he said in the press conferences so far. That's got me excited. For as of right now, because we're in the beginning, you know what I mean? But obviously I need that needs to be translated into actually on the pitch. But again, we're gonna have to, wait to see if that actually does translate. If it doesn't translate, then obviously all that excitement, and hype around him is gonna go out the window. As it would for any manager or any person, at any club. So, Ray said, "Prove me wrong. Before we move Ericsson, Casemiro, Bruno, and Rashford, this team doesn't go forward." And very well, maybe so. But again, Ray, I will tell you, I think there's two steps to that. I think right now we can take some steps forward because I think we're very much backwards. I think with this team, we shouldn't be in 13th. I think they can play much better and a much higher level, and they can put in better performances than they've been giving us. But for whatever reason, we have definitely gone backwards from Ten Hag's first season. Because the first season under Ten Hag, we finished third, and we played very well, and we played the likes of like a Barcelona, and we played very well against them and stuff like that. And we've slowly regressed. And I think we can bring that level back up to a certain degree. And then once we hit a certain point, I do then agree. That's when we start looking more so, because I don't think you're wrong, but like I'm just saying, like we have to build that level up to get here, and then you could look to take the next step into saying, well, all right, well, like Ericsson is certainly a problem, or Casemiro is certainly a problem, or Bruno, or Rashford's a problem. These players need to move so we could really take the next step, because we got to take a few steps to get to where we want to go, right? It's not, if you try to take, such a giant leap, it's too big of a leap. You're not going to hit the leap. If you take a couple jumps, then you'll get to the spot that you're trying to jump to, right? So, we gotta get it. Yeah, it was a bloody boring match, as Lion said. It was. Yeah, Lion says language. Think of the children. Axe is saying every team who wants to win the EPL should feel humiliated by not winning each match. Well, I don't know about humiliated, but disappointment for sure. Disappointment, frustration. Humiliation would be if we went to Ipswich and they beat us 3-0 and absolutely played us off the park. I mean, but then again, everybody's allowed to feel the way they want. So if somebody feels humiliated by drawing to Ipswich, that's fine. I can't tell somebody how to feel. But for me, myself, I never necessarily feel humiliated, I guess, in a certain way. I'll feel let down, I'll feel disappointed, and maybe I'll feel a bit angry. I'll feel frustrated and be like, we could have won the match, we should have won the match, or whatever. And we tied. Humiliation for me is more of the things that we suffered, versus Liverpool, Manchester City, just getting absolutely played off the park, losing to Crystal Palace like 3 or 4-0. Things like that. That's humiliating to me. That's embarrassing. Now, for our circumstance, it's a little bit different because we are so far off of winning the league that a draw to Ipswich technically isn't humiliating. But if we were what Manchester City has been for the past few years, we're expected to win every match. We're expected to dominate every match in that aspect solely because we've been doing it. Kind of to like what United were doing under Fergie. Then I can understand maybe a little bit more of the humiliation because, the time under Ferguson when we would draw a team that I considered shit, I would feel a bit humiliated by it, but more so I'd feel very disappointed and frustrated by it. But it's like because you're expected to win. But I think right now in this situation, we've been so poor that it's not really it's not really like humiliation, because the humiliation has been ongoing for 11 seasons. In the grand scheme of things. Today was just really a letdown because I was hoping we could just start him off. I expected it to be rocky. I expected it to be bumpy. I didn't expect it to be perfect. I didn't expect it to be ultra convincing. I just really what I wanted was somehow to get a win, 2-1, something like that, whatever. You come away with it, you say, well, the positive was we got 3 points on his debut, and obviously we still have to fix X, Y, and Z, and we didn't come with the win. We got a draw, and we still have to fix X, Y, and Z. So, I don't, hold on. Ray saying we didn't see difference because these players can't do the basics. Well, I think some of them, but they have to do the basics because they're professional players. Like they have to. Like I don't understand because I've seen them do the basics. The majority of them 2 seasons ago they were doing the basics, so they can obviously do the basics. And any footballer can do the basics, but there's an issue blocking that from happening. And I think it's their mentality, but also their attitude, the culture around the whole, just the chemistry of the squad is broken right now. And so it has to be restored for the basics to happen. And, Amorim said this. Axe saying, I don't understand. Players were thinking too much. That is why they played like shit. That I absolutely agree with. I think they didn't necessarily know what to actually do in certain moments, and therefore they couldn't react fast enough because they're sitting there thinking about what they have to do, and it's not an instinctive thing. And Amorim mentioned that in the pre-match press conference or the sit down that he did with Gary Neville. Like, he did say that, like, the main thing that he wants to get them to do, and the main focus that he wants to get them to do, is every person needs to understand as a team what the team is doing and the position of every player. And this is something that we haven't had, and it's not just on Erik ten Hag. We haven't had this in like 4 managers in a row, that the team as a whole doesn't understand what the team is doing as a whole, and then individually, and they don't know where their teammates are, and they don't know what to do with the ball. We haven't had this for like 5 managers. The last time I've actually seen it and implemented in a good way was Sir Alex Ferguson, where the players didn't need to think, they didn't need to look, they just knew. You know, there was times where a player would pick up the ball and he wouldn't even look and he'd launch it 70 yards diagonal because he knew that fucking Nani or whoever it was, or Ronaldo or Rooney or whoever it was there. He already knew that they were there. He knew exactly where to kick the ball to, how much power to put on it. The player was there. Didn't have to look. Could have been backwards. Could have had his eyes closed. And we haven't had that for so long. But Amorim said that we need to have that. So that's what I'm looking for him to come in and bring. That's one of the basics that I'm talking about. So I agree with your Axe. I do agree with that. Like, they were thinking way too much. I think this has been a problem. I think it's been a problem under Ten Hag. I think it was a problem before Ten Hag, with the two managers before him. And it's a problem right now for Amorim, and Amorim's going to have to deal with it. Otherwise, you know, it's going to be a disaster again, because you can't have that in a team. So, you know, they almost beat us 3-0. No, I mean, you're right in that aspect. They would have been, if it wasn't for Onana making those saves and keeping us in the game. They could have easily scored like 3 or 4. It wasn't a great display. And maybe is a little bit lucky to come out of that with a draw. But you know, it is what it is. First match, we're gonna take the draw. We'll take the point, and let's see what happens in the next few matches going forward. City got humiliated yesterday. Well, that's what I would say. Like, they got humiliated. They were expected to beat Tottenham. They were home and they lost 4-0. Like, I would say that. Adriel Valentine says, I don't recall any of our midfielders calling for the ball, with the exception of Casemiro once when Eriksen did a back pass. Mano most does this, which helps the lines. Yeah, listen, you could identify there was different problems going on around there. I think, you know, there was a couple players in one in defense, one in the midfield, one in attack. Like, they make bad decisions, they make poor decisions, they give the ball away. They don't create. Again, we said this. I was saying this when Rude was in charge. I said this when Ten Hag was in charge. Our players don't do enough off of the ball. And we don't do enough when we're on the ball. But when the one player is on the ball and the rest of them are off the ball, we don't do enough. Like, and that creates a load of problems on the pitch for us. So that needs to be sorted as well. And this is what I'm saying. And this is why it's titled that he has a mountain to climb. Because I always said, and I said it, you know, even though I said that Ten Hag needed to go, I said it was never 100% Ten Hag's fault. The players are also to blame. And changing Ten Hag isn't going to solve 100% of the problems. But it is going to be a new way of thinking, a new direction, and a new system that can lead to positive changes. It might still fail, but we have to see what happens. You know, Amorim said the same thing. He's been linked with Jose Mourinho. They've made a lot of comparisons to Jose Mourinho to Amorim, and he said multiple times, you know, he's had an influence on me, but I am my own person. I am not Jose Mourinho. I am Ruben Amorim. And I said that to the same thing. Like, Erik Ten Hag was Erik Ten Hag. Whoever came after Erik Ten Hag they are not Erik Ten Hag. They are their own person. Different things will be done. And therefore, maybe we get different results. At least you would indicate it that way, because the things that were happening under the last manager were obviously never going to necessarily change, because they weren't changing, and he was there, and he's not going to change as a person and as who he is and how he manages. You know, he's not going to have that epiphany. So if it wasn't working under him, then it, you know, it wasn't really ever going to get fixed. But Ray say we give a few more games before the shit hit the ceiling again. Well, to me, that's where I would say that the fans really need to then. The fan base really has to get a grip on reality, because again, this is how I've set my mind on this. I've made my mind up on this, and I'm going to keep saying it until maybe it's no longer able to really say, or there's a bigger issue at hand. But we are going to have to take, and we are going to have to accept the short-term pain so we can be more successful in the longer term. I am willing to suffer in this beginning period under Amorim, so he can get and play his formation, his style, his philosophy, his system. I don't want him to create a system for these players. I don't want him to create a new style. I don't want him to create something specifically for these players. They don't deserve it, and he hasn't been successful with whatever that would be. He was successful for what he believed in, the way he played. I want him to bring that to Manchester United and implement it at Manchester United. To do that, it's going to take time. To do that, you are going to get some positives. You are going to suffer setbacks. I'm okay with the setbacks as long as there's improvement being shown. But we got to get there. Saying I think they weren't thinking at all. Well, maybe they weren't. I don't know. But you could probably make an argument for one way or the other, to be honest. Because some of them, the decisions that they were making, they were kind of sort of brain dead, as some might say. Lion saying, and also, were there enough lifeboats? I don't actually know. I've only seen that terrible movie. See, I missed that comment. I don't know what the hell you guys are talking about. No okay. No panic on the Titanic, people. There are plenty of water for everyone. Yeah. Well, don't get me started on the Titanic, because the ending of the movie, all I ever say, and it's always an argument with a female, there was enough room. There was enough room for both of them. He didn't have to die. She was selfish, and she let him die. That's all I need to say. Absolutely selfish. The ending pisses me off every time. There was enough room for him to float on that door, whatever the hell it was, and it should have never happened. And it's absolutely ridiculous that they made him die. It ruined the whole movie for me. But Axelord's saying, for really now, no, there weren't enough lifeboats. Plus, when a ship sinks on one side, the lifeboats from the other side cannot be used. Any ship needs twice the double lifeboats on both sides. Yeah. Let me get a couple. How long have we been live for? Because I don't even see this. Oh, we run this quite long. All right. Let me see if I pull up some. Let me see if I pull up some quotes real quick, and then we'll end it, and then we'll go live tomorrow. Quotes. Who has the quotes? All right, we got plenty of quotes. All right, I got all the quotes here. So, quotes. Let me pull this up side by side so I could still see the chat and what you guys are saying. 96 minutes. We haven't been live enough. Listen, it's maybe for you it's not live enough, but for people that have never watched the show, it's very, very long. But it's all right. We're gonna go live tomorrow, so we'll be back and we'll talk more. But let's do these quotes. We're gonna be live for a little bit longer. So, let's start with Roy Keane, because I don't give a shit what Jamie Redknapp has to say, but Roy Keane we can start with, because obviously United legend, ex-player, ex-captain. Roy Keane on Sky says, "We saw the shape of the team, but it is the same players and same problems." Fair enough. We talk about leopards and spots, lack of goals and lack of quality in the second half. Ipswich looked the better team. It's his first game, a lot to take in, and it has been a mental week for him, but ultimately he will be disappointed. I agree 100% with Roy. I think Roy is spot on in what he said. And I think it's fair. I think he's fair. I think I don't think he was too critical. Which is good, because I don't think you can be at this moment in time on him, at least. And again, I think he's right in the sentiment of what a lot of the fans have been saying, that with the whole leopard and spots thing, same players, same problems. That is going to be an issue. I think some of the problems are fixable. With some of the players, then the other players, I think some of those issues won't, or some other issues won't be fixable. So, Amorim saying my players were thinking too much in the game. You could feel it. Well, well, to me, that's what I actually think it is. Ax, because I know you said, and probably, well, maybe jokingly, maybe not, that they weren't thinking at all. And but I do agree with that. That you could tell, that it wasn't instinctive. He wants it to be instinctive. He wants it to be done without having to think. And I think that we need that. We actually need that. Like I think a lot of teams have that. I think when Pep came to City, I think when City plays, right? They're so used to it, they do it without thinking. Like it's very instinctive. When he first came, you could tell that they were they were doing a lot of thinking, and it wasn't too much instincts, because it was probably a lot to take in. There's a lot of instructions, a lot of specific instructions and shit. And they're not used to it. So they're sitting there trying to think about what to do, which slows them down on the pitch in actuality. And maybe that was something that happened kind of under Erik ten Hag, because he is one that gives a lot of instructions. If they don't understand the instructions, then they're doing a lot of thinking when they don't need to. They need instinctiveness. So I don't know. But he also went on to say, it's a tough league. You learn that in the first moment, my players were thinking too much in the game. You can feel it, not just on the ball, but where they are supposed to be. And that is hard. It's just 2 days with the team. So it's really hard. I think the physicality, we needed more in the first half. Yeah, I think the physicality and the intensity that's one of the things that disappointed me the most, because I understand the whole thing of the players were thinking too much, not just on the ball, but like where they were supposed to be positioned, and they were all out of position, like Axe said. Like that part I can understand. But the lack of like the physicality and the lack of like the intensity, that to me is the most disappointing. Because I there was players that were not pressing, that they were walking. There was times where like there was no urgency on the ball, maybe because they were overthinking too much. But like, I don't know. Thank you, Adriel Valentine. Appreciate you. I hope you subscribed. I enjoyed you being in here. You gave some very good opinions. And hopefully, if you want, we'll be going live tomorrow. So come back and get involved. Because we're always welcoming people like you and everybody else in the chat. So, very good. Amorim says it's a tough match. We lost some balls without pressure. Absolutely. We have to control the ball and the tempo of the game. They didn't do it, but they really tried. They are really trying, and they want this. So I think that's a fair assessment. I don't know. Exactly 100%. I think that's a fair assessment. We definitely lost balls without pressure. Definitely some bad balls out there, bad decisions. And I think fair from Amorim, he didn't really make the excuse of like, trying to say that they did do it when they didn't do it. He called it out and said that they didn't do it, but he said that they tried to do it, and that they want to do it, but they just didn't do it. So apparently Ed Sheeran interrupted Ruben Amorim's post-match interview, which is all right. Amorim says we have to try to, since the first moment, we have to address the new idea and try to be better next year at the same stage. He also said decision-making is a concern. So I'm loving this, because he's saying what we're saying. You don't need to coach them in this level. We are doing some things not in the right moment, and that's what we have to address. So again, I think he's right on the money. I think he's right on the money. I think he knows exactly what he's talking about. And he's seeing what we're saying. And Amorim saying the 3-4-3 is not the concern. The understanding of the game is what we have to improve. And I absolutely 100% agree with this. That it's not the formation. Adriel Valentine saying, sure, I'll put reminders. Kudos to the other people in here. Well, very good. I look forward to hearing from you, and then everybody else, obviously, tomorrow. Adriel, I don't know where you're from, but I'll put out a community post because I don't know what time it'll be, but it'll probably be somewhere, maybe this time, maybe I'll do it a little bit later, whatever your local time is. But we'll see. I'll throw it in the community post and let you know. Because we could do it at any day, really, because I'm off tomorrow. So, but yeah, that sounds good. Amorim saying, this week I spoke more to the media than I did 4 years at Sporting. I just want to work with the players and nothing more. Well, yeah, that is true. He spoke a lot this week, and I don't think he's really used to that because at Sporting he just does his press conference. You know, pre-match, post-match, and then that's it. He doesn't really speak to the media. He did like a whole 45-minute interview with Gary Neville. He did like another 10-15-minute interview with MUTV. So a lot of talking. And he probably did more interview. He probably did more time in interviews and speaking to the media than he did actually training the players. So fair enough. He said they want this, the players want this, they don't know how to get it. That was my feeling. I agree with that. Like, I think a lot of the players there, like, they actually want to do good. Like, they actually want to do what the manager is asking, but they actually don't know how to go about it and do it. It's like you trying to, like, it's like you wanting to be like a millionaire, right? Or like being super rich or something like that. And it's like you want it, you really want it, and you'll do things to try and do it, but you don't actually know how to do it. Therefore, you're just kind of sitting there lost in like a vacuum of space. Like, I really want this, but I have absolutely no clue how to even go about this. And I think that's fair enough. So I understand what he's saying by that. Amorim says you start discovering things you didn't know, like Garnacho can hold the ball between the lines. You can understand that by seeing the games because he's always open. So you try to find these things. And again, I think that's an important thing. Like, listen, training is training. Watching on TV, like he's probably done, is watching on TV, and that's one thing. But then seeing them in training and then seeing them up close and personal in a match is going to be another thing. So he's obviously going to learn things as well. And that's why it's going to take time. So, Amorim has said on Bruno Fernandes, he improved his game by playing near the ball, so he can give us the long pass, but you cannot put him there all the time because he wants the long pass all the time. Amorim saying, we will try to find a lot of things about the players. We will need a lot of time to work out these things. And I agree. You know, it's going to take time. It's a massive job. What went wrong for United. So he had more things to say. Amorim said it's not a good result, but it is a tough league with a high intensity. We started very well, but we should have had more of the ball, but we are learning. And this is to the BBC. Amorim on adapting to his formation. He said it was really hard for them. They were thinking what to do. It was not fluid, which I agree 1000%, which is normal after just 2 training sessions, but they tried hard. They have so much space to improve, but after you draw, you never feel the good things. So I am really happy because they tried, but they can do so much better. And I think everybody's in agreement with that. Amorim on the early goal. He said we worked on that, but they have the talent to do it, and then it's all about the players. Amorim on Mazawari saying we don't have too many centre-backs, so we have to adapt some players. I thought Maz did very well. I think he did very well as well. He is so smart and is so important for us. He can play anywhere, and that kind of player is crucial for our future. He is very versatile. Listen, he could play left back. He could play right back. So he could play right wing back. He could play left wing back. He could play left center back. He could play right center back. He could play technically CDM. Because he has played there before. He can play in a numerous amount of positions. He is a very versatile player. So he is an important player. And he's been very good since he's come to us. So, you know, Amorim on his first taste of the Premier League, he said it is a great environment, a great spectacle, but when the game starts, it is like I am back in Portugal or the third division. I am so focused on everything. Uh, I'm so focused, everything is the same. You guys are so lucky to have the best league in the world. I'm really happy to be here, but today I don't feel much because I like to win games. So he's obviously he's a little bit like Mourinho in that he is a sore loser. He wants to win. He doesn't draws or losses, and losses are obviously losses. So, you know, um, so apparently Roy Keane has offered to wait and meet an Ipswich fan who was abusing him all game in the car park. Which is absolutely great from Roy Keane. I bet you, I will bet any money in my entire life that that guy ran from there and avoided the car park at all costs because Roy Keane would absolutely beat the shit out of this guy. Um, so yeah. Um, buy a Euro Million ticket. I know what I need to do, but I don't gamble. Line saying, or wait till the rich relatives die and leave me the inheritance. But that's a bit grim. Maybe. No, but it's like trying to. Well, let's say you have none of that, and you're trying to come up with a plan to get rich. It's like you want to get rich, you're desperate to get rich, you want it more than anything. That's your only goal. And you might come up with a plan, but then also like you don't know how to do the plan. So it's like you want it, you just don't know how to go about it, which I think people probably suffer through that in all aspects of life. Like they want something, they desperately want it. They're like it's the only thing that they want. It's something that will give them true happiness. But then they struggle with like how do I do it? I don't know how to do it. I don't have the slightest clue how to do it. And then usually what happens is a lot of people give up because they don't know how to do it. They get frustrated and they get tired of it. So Andre Onana was asked about his saves, says, but it was not enough to win the game. We have to continue working hard. I will take responsibility. Well, he always does that anyway. So Onana saying there is no time to cry. We have to move on. Good games will come. We know that. Better days will come. Like I always say, it will never rain forever here. The sun will shine. Well, in Manchester, it does rain a lot. So, if he hasn't realized that already, but I get what he means. And let's get his Victor Gyocares, please. Let's get him in. All right. So listen. How's the new job going? It's good. It's good. It's long hours. It's not bad. But it's not gonna last forever. These jobs in construction, we do commercial buildings lines. So like, you go in, maybe you have like a good 3 month run, maybe a little bit more if you're lucky. The job ends, and then you got to find a new one. So, it's just the nature of the beast. You know what I mean? But the people are right. The location is good. It's a good place. The oven, and yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's just long hours. You get very tired by the end of the week and stuff. But can't complain. Can't complain. And kind of just like what Onana said, right? Like it won't rain forever. Like this job won't last forever. And I won't be working these long hours forever. So it is what it is. We take it as it goes. But I will be off tomorrow, so we're gonna. Do I freelance? Not really. I probably maybe should, but no. So what we do is like anything with like finished wood. So right now we're doing so it's this French store, right? That they put out like clothing, high-end sort of clothing products and stuff like that. And they're building like part of their store, they have like a high-end bookshelf case that's like an overarch like this, and there's like a bookshelf on this side, bookshelf on this side, and they go up to the ceiling and the arch and they meet together, right? And that's like it's like high quality finished wood. So we install that. We install that, right? Like you got to install it to the wall, and then you got to put on the pieces to the ceiling. And same thing on the other side. We install that. There's also like they have like a bar One's like a coffee bar. The other one, I don't know what bar that is, but the bar is obviously made out of some type of a wood. We install that. They have like closets, so we install like the cabinets or whatever, stuff like that. So like finished products. We install it in commercial spaces. So yeah. Then there's like other people there. There's like the electricians. There's like the other carpenter people that they do. But I've had to put that on a pause, but tomorrow I'll be able to do some because I'm off, right? And I'll take a couple days because it's just too long and it's too. I'm too tired to do it. I can't. I don't have. I get home and my brain is like melted. My brain is fried, and then it's like I have to eat. I have to shower. I need to like relax and unwind a little bit, Lions. With my IT stuff. So it's like, yeah, it's manual labor. Yeah. Yeah, so I haven't done it, but I'm gonna get back to it. Once this passes, I got to do this first, right? This is the more important thing. So, we do this now, and then we'll figure it out. But I can do like tonight. I can do some because I don't have to wake up so early tomorrow, and tomorrow I can do some as well. Early in the day, maybe before our live stream, maybe a little bit after our live stream. Then I gotta go back to work. Tuesday, Wednesday. Most likely. And then we have Thanksgiving Thursday and Friday, so we're off. And Saturday might be off as well. And yeah, so But listen, guys, I'm gonna go. Ray's out of here as well. I'm gonna go because I gotta eat. And I gotta do some other things. So it was a very good show. It was very good to talk to you all again. I always miss you. A week is too long. For me. But it was good. And we will speak tomorrow. I'm gonna do a live. So we'll be back tomorrow. I hope to see you all. And talk to everybody. Thank you to everybody that smashed the like button. Thank you to all the new subscribers that we got, new chat members as well. And then shout out to our regulars. I don't know what's for dinner yet. I haven't decided yet. I gotta find out. I gotta figure out what I'm gonna cook. Maybe some chicken of some sorts. I don't know. I haven't planned it yet. But shout out to all of you. Shout out to Lyle. Shout out to Lions. Shout out to Ray, Richard, Adriel, Valentine. Axe Lord was in here earlier. I don't know if he's still in here, but yeah, Grace stopped by as well. And RSV. We can't forget RSV. Alien Tenno as well. Alien Tenno. Yeah, and hopefully I didn't miss anybody. But yeah, shout out to everybody. Big up to all of you. Very good. Cheers. Have a good evening. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And be good. And we will talk tomorrow and we will see each other tomorrow.